Another thing you need to do while your dough's resting, you need to make sure your lard and your sugar mixture. So if you put 2 blocks of lard in the microwave for about 1 minute, put it into a bowl and then add the sugar to it and then just mix it. Okay, it should be nice and soft so it's spreadable and we're able to spread it on the top of the dough. Right, now the dough's had 5 minutes rest now, so what we're going to do, we're going to roll that out now. Right, so first of all, dust your table. Slightly dust your dough on top. Now we need to roll this out to a rectangle about this big. Now it's important you get it the right size because you'll find it a lot easier to get into the tray. If you roll it too small, you'll have difficulties with it fitting into the tray. So apply pressure, rolling it. You can use your rolling pin to guide it to keep it nice and straight. You can see that's rolling out nice because it's had that resting period. Keep using your rolling pin to guide it. If you can feel it's a little bit thicker in one certain place, if you just concentrate on that bit, slightly sticking to the table, remember just gently dust it underneath. So you can see now we've got a nice rectangle there, nice and even, not thick in one part, it's nice and flat, and that's ready for the next stage for the lard to go on. So equal amounts of lard and sugar. We've got 500 grams of lard, 500 grams of sugar mixed together, and we're just going to spread that onto the surface of the dough. Same again, making sure it's nice and evenly spread across the top. And just be careful with your palette knife as well that you don't rip the dough. You need to make sure when you do this as well, you go right to the edges. And what's going to happen when this bakes, the lard and the sugar is going to start to boil and it's going to start to fry the dough, and it will go to the bottom of the tin and it will actually caramelise the bottom of the lardy cake, so you get that nice sticky beautiful taste at the bottom. Lardy cake was very popular years ago. It's a very traditional sort of English product, traditional bakery product. There's lots of variations of doing it. What we're doing today, we're going to turn this into lardy cake slices. You go into some bakeries, they'll call it dripping cake. So make sure we get all that lard onto your product. So using a scotch scraper, just make sure we get it all out of the bowl, because that needs to go into your lardy cake. So as you can see, it's nice and evenly spread on the top. And that's ready for the next process now, putting the fruit on the top. So if it goes a little bit out of shape, just don't be scared to pull the corners out. We've got that nice rectangular shape again. Right, currant sultanas, that's going to be sprinkled onto the top. So a little tip, you just get your hand and rub it together as you sprinkle it. You get a nice even spread of the currants and sultanas. Don't hold your hand too high when you do it, nice and low, and just spread. If you can see there's not many currants in one particular place, you can move over to that. You can see there's a slight hole. So same again, nice and even over the surface of the dough. And using your hands, you're just going to press it out. The reason I'm doing this is so when we come to do the fold, the currants and sultanas don't go everywhere. Next stage, we're going to give it a book fold. So we're going to fold it into the middle, press down slightly, and then the other side we're going to fold into the middle as well, and then we're going to press down slightly. Now at this stage, you've got a seal here. What I do is I give it a slight squeeze together to prevent the lard from boiling out. So that's the book fold. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to give it a half turn. So I'm going to fold it to the middle, and then I'm going to fold the other edge over the top like that, so we've got a half turn. Then I'm going to turn it upside down. You've got flour on the top, just brush it off. And what we need to do now, we need to roll the dough out so it's going to fit into the deep half tray. So same again, dust your table. Now when you get to this stage, you need to be careful that you're not too rough with your rolling pin. If we put too much pressure on, what will happen, you can see now the currants are starting to come through a little bit, so we've got to be careful we're not too rough and rip the dough. So just nice and gentle. Just keep twisting your dough around. You can see now as the currants are starting to come through. Now it's a good idea at this stage, when you get your dough that big, is just leave it for 5 minutes, because you've been really working that gluten, it just gives it a chance to relax. And when you come to roll it again, it'll roll out a lot easier. So put some cling film over the top or a plastic sheet, and then we're just going to leave that for 5 minutes and come back to it. Right, so the dough's rested now for 5 minutes. So I'm just going to go back to it, and I can already feel that's relaxed a little bit. So it should roll out a lot easier, and there's less danger of tearing the dough. So you can just get your tray, that should fit in nicely. Just fold your dough in half, get your tray. I'm just going to place it you just get a rolling pin then. Just give it a final roll so it's nice and even. Right, next stage, we need to cut it. We're going to get 20 slices out of this. So using the wheels, we need to go 5 across. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The last one, you're going to have to judge it so it's the size of these, or if you can get one with 5, a 5 wheel, even better. So we're just going to mark it. We're not actually cutting with these, we're just marking it, and then we're going to go 4 the other way. Then using your scotch scraper, you're going to cut right to the bottom. You're not going to saw it, you're going to actually push down, and the sharpness of the scraper will go through the dough. So you can use it as a guillotine if you want, where you're just coming down. And turn it round, and then we're going to cut through. And there we have it, a tray of lardy cake, 20 different pieces, all nice and even. And you can see we haven't ripped the top of the dough where the fruit's coming through. Now this is going to go into the prover for about 30 minutes. And then we're going to bake it at 220 degrees for 20 minutes. We're going to bake it at 220 for 15 minutes. Then we're going to put some paper over the top. When it comes out the oven, we're going to brush it with bun glaze. So a simple bun glaze is equal amounts of sugar and water boiled together. Brush it over the top, and then we're going to sprinkle the sugar on the top. So the lardy cake's been in the prover now for 30 minutes, and as you can see, the yeast had time to work. It's become active. It's fed off the starch. It starts to produce that carbon dioxide, and we've got the right sort of proving height on it now. You can see it's just coming over the top of the deep tin. As I said before, it's important that you use the deep trays when you do this, not the shallow ones. If you use the shallow ones, it will boil over the top, and it will make a mess of your oven as well. So what we're going to do now, we're going to put that in the oven for 20 minutes. Wait, it's a good idea, put it on for 15 minutes at 220 degrees. We'll place some paper on the top, and then we'll give it another further 5 minutes. Right, so the lardy cake's come out the oven now. You can see it looks quite dull on the top, so we need to just finish it off now to make it more appetising. So I'm going to use my bun glaze on top. I'm going to brush it evenly over the top. Now when you do this process, you must do it as soon as it comes out the oven. Okay, don't leave it 5 to 10 minutes, otherwise what will happen, the dough will absorb the water in the glaze, and it will go all soggy. You can see already you're getting that nice shiny glaze on it, and it's starting to look more appetising already. So all over, so look for any dry patches, and let's get the glaze covering that. Look at that. To finish off, we're going to put caster sugar on top. So nice and evenly. You just get your hand, you just go in little circles like that. It spreads nice and evenly on the top. Okay, so that's your finished product, ready for sale, lardy cake.